Puff it was not all great. But man.
All you heard was Papa, don't hit me no more. Let's go. Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. Hey, 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 yeah.
Listen, y'all, the most amazing thing just happened. Usher is breaking his silence on Diddy, and his words are sending legit shockwaves throughout the music industry. For years, the man has been holding on to something and keeping his head down, but now he's ready to spill it all about the dark side of Diddy. Remember, when Diddy hit Cassie, he was right there on the inside. In essence, this man has seen things behind closed doors, shocking things, but now he's throwing it all down. So stay with us, because what we're hearing about Diddy from him could change everything.
And your kid too, Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See? It all starts with this piping hot lawsuit that Dawn Richard just slammed on Diddy, and it's wild, y'all. In it, she makes some truly stunning statements. For instance, she's saying she straight up saw Diddy lay hands on his ex, Cassie. But hold up, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Dawn's claiming she had to face some serious heat when she tried to step in. She says Diddy not only made her life a living hell, but literally threatened to end her. Like, what in the world? Now, get this. Dawn's saying Diddy's been all kinds of messed up, abusive, playing money games, and doing some seriously sketchy stuff to her and others for years. This isn't just coming out of nowhere, folks. Apparently, Diddy was keeping Dawn on a tight leash, controlling both her cash and her career. It's like he wanted to keep her permanently under his thumb. And for a hot minute, you could say he did.
As far as for you, Dawn, I still want to make music with you. I still want you to be signed to the label. And, you know, if I decide to put that together, Danity Kane, then, you know, you'll be the only member that'll still be there.
Getting to this point, nah, it hasn't been a smooth ride. Dawn's been refusing to keep her mouth shut and go with the flow. After all, she ain't the one in the wrong or battling a ton of court cases this past year, a bunch of them criminal. But think about it, Diddy swings his fist and everyone just acts like it's business as usual? Nope, that can't be right. There's gotta be more to this story, something we're not seeing. You could say the real scandal isn't just Diddy's actions, but how the whole music industry turned a blind eye to this one dude's wild behavior. Some folks are saying it's time to rethink who's really pulling the strings in Hollywood.
Which was then rescinded in June after an avalanche of civil lawsuits, criminal investigations, and that now notorious video of Combs attacking Cassie Ventura.
I'm a legend, baby, for a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
You know.
Huh?
Yeah. You got a live show, you got a live.
I have a live show now, yeah. You're a killer party. What's the ingredient? What do you do to make just an amazing killer party? Because mine, I put out the Cheese Whiz. I put on the Paula Anka.
Wrong
no one
move.
comes. Wrong move.
So you're doing the wrong things.
Wrong
boy.
thing. Okay.
This is what you need to do. Women, beautiful women, of course.
Beautiful women.
Beautiful men for the ladies, of course.
Wouldn't it be better if there weren't beautiful men there? There were just a lot of beautiful women and then just the guy?
No. You have to make. There's enough ladies to go around. You have to make the ladies, give the ladies what they need too. You know, you have to take care of your women.
Take care of the ladies. Okay.
Ladies, yeah.
Gotcha. That's good.
You can't force the situation.
Right. What about?
You can't force a square peg into a round hole.
That's the story of my life, my friend.
Okay, you need that.
I wish you had told me that a long time ago.
Now, Usher, he never thought he'd see something like this. But the second Diddy hit Cassie right in front of him, everything changed.
We got Miss Cassie, we got Diddy, guys. The party is starting because y'all arrived, right?
Whenever everybody just looks great. I think it's a collection.
Yeah. Head to toe, describe to me, what's the inspiration behind your outfit tonight? Was it an all-white party?
I just wanted to just keep it, simple and plain, angelic, and not really try to overdo it with the theme, but just, have it be more sophisticated and more minimalistic.
That's right you are. And please tell me about your look tonight. You look amazing.
I'm wearing head-to-toe Tom Brown, and I just wanted to be, at my Sunday's best, suited and booted. I always wear a dress, so I wanted to try something different.
Yeah, it's just like everyday life for us.
Yeah. You angelic all the time? Mm-hmm. Final question, is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here. There you go. Or right here.
There you go. That's how you do it, right? Y'all have an amazing time tonight. Thank you for blessing this carpet.
This story was kept under wraps for years, like it was something to be ashamed of. But now Usher's finally spilling the tea on what really went down. So, let's dive into this mind-blowing lawsuit Don Richard just slapped Diddy with. This legal action is dropping bombshells left and right, and it's painting Diddy in a way that's straight up chilling. If you're not in the loop, Don used to be under Diddy's label back in the day. First with Danity Kane, and later with Dirty Money. Yeah, she's been in his orbit for a minute, and we all know how that turned out for those girls. Diddy had them wrapped around his finger from day one.
It was not all great, but man, did he teach me to have the tools to be ready.
It was amazing lessons.
Breadcrumbs that I will take. I refuse. If I'm gonna take the risk, I'm okay with whatever the outcome.
From the jump, Aubrey O'Day's been super vocal about the hell they went through working with that man, but that hasn't been Dawn's vibe. At least, not until now. But then, she did have to zip it to get out of her contract. Diddy straight up told her, "I'll let you bounce if you don't trash talk me." And well, she took the deal. Now, while Dawn's kept pretty hush-hush about it all until now, she had this one slip where she accidentally spilled some tea about how Diddy would lose it on her and her bandmate Kalena, like going nuts over rehearsals and making them feel like trash. In the lawsuit, Dawn painted a grim picture of her time under Diddy's thumb with the craziest allegations. He once trapped her in his ride for hours after one of their fights. No joke, you heard that right. During a rehearsal for Saturday Night Live with Diddy's Dirty Money, Diddy was already on edge, freaking out in the middle of the studio because Dawn and Kalena weren't around.
She had to sign a contract, and once she made the group, the initial contract she signed carried over.
He went full-on nuclear, yelling and throwing insults, causing a scene in front of everyone. When Dawn finally stood her ground and told him to chill, Diddy wasn't having it. He literally balled up his fists like he was ready to throw down. Thank goodness his security stepped in before things got physical. But even then, the bodyguard locked her in his Bentley while she screamed her lungs out. For nothing, too. Lucky for her, she had her phone, so she rang her pops, who hopped on a train from Baltimore to NYC ready to go toe-to-toe with Diddy himself and get the cops involved while he was at it. When he showed up, he was apparently ready to bring the heat, but Diddy had other ideas. He straight up stopped Dawn's dad with a bone-chilling warning. Think about your family and think about your daughter's career. And that's just the beginning, y'all. Dawn says Diddy had her grinding nonstop, never letting her catch her breath, barely feeding her, and constantly dishing out threats. When Dawn got mixed up with Diddy on making the band, what looked like her big break real quick turned into a nightmare for the star. Diddy was out here calling the female contestants fat, ugly, and every insult under the sun. But the real horror show was happening behind the scenes. Dawn says they were pushed to their absolute limit, working without food, rest, or any breaks for days on end of rehearsals until their bodies gave out. Dawn not only dropped mad weight, she even broke out in rashes because she was constantly strapped to a mic pack. Can you imagine MTV watching your health go down the drain while the cameras keep rolling? If she even looked like she was thinking about leaving the studio, Diddy would bark at her, "Where do you think you're going? We've got an album to finish." Oh, and don't even get me started on the money drama Dawn says she had with Puff. According to Dawn, even now, Diddy still owes her a freaking $1 million in royalties plus another $360,000 for tour earnings. She also had to promote his brands without seeing a single cent, brands like Ciroc and Diddy Beats. What that means is that she might have been the one putting in all the work, but only one person was pocketing all the cash, and it wasn't her. But then, it gets even worse.
Man, I ain't gonna lie.
Dawn alleges Diddy wasn't just financially abusive, he was physically out of line too. She claims he'd make her strip down to her undies, humiliate her by calling her all sorts of names, lazy, ugly, you name it, and pick on her figure in front of his crew. Once, while she was taking off her clothes for a fitting, Diddy swung around and basically copped a feel, pretending to show a stylist how he wanted her bra straps. He'd also smack her around and go on and on about how she was too skinny like it was some kind of sick joke, and don't even get me started on the Christmas present. He suggested implants. He actually told her, "You're rocking an A cup, I'm thinking D." Imagine your boss spitting that nonsense. As if all that wasn't enough, Dawn was also caught smack dab in the middle of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. You know the ones. Wild benders where anything goes. She'd be in the studio while these ragers were in full swing, and sometimes Diddy would try to involve her in front of everyone, crossing lines she didn't want crossed. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. He pulled this stuff repeatedly, pushing her to the edge.
At the center of the government's case against Diddy are his alleged freak-offs, which according to the indictment were elaborate and produced sex performances that Diddy arranged, directed, pleasured himself to, and often electronically recorded.
They would stay in the room for 2-3 days at a time, doing nothing but getting high. And then when they came out the room, it was like a different person. Cassie would be like a whole different type of person. She was very quiet. She started really not talking. And that's when I started realizing like she's at the point where she's just terrified. When Cassie got in the room alone with Puff, for some reason she was afraid. That was just one of the reasons why I couldn't really talk to Cassie and couldn't really help Cassie, because when she was on drugs, she would tell him everything.
Dawn knew exactly what that meant. Crossing Diddy equaled playing with fire, but that wasn't the only time Diddy's violent behavior towards Cassie happened right under people's noses. Dawn shared another shocking incident at a dinner party where Diddy straight up sucker punched Cassie in the gut. This wasn't behind closed doors. This went down in front of music industry heavyweight.
Let's rewind. We're back in a simpler time. It's 2004. We're in Miami, and P Diddy, the king of fun, got together hundreds of his closest high-class celeb friends for his 50 fabulous dinner party. I'm loving Diddy's mohawk and the variety of friends he has, from Bruce Willis to Anna Ross to Hilary Duff. Do we all remember Farnsworth? Loving Naomi's flapper look, and Kim Porter is looking fire. She's the real it girl as well as the Miss Paris Hilton. Loving the baggy clothes, silk camis, crop tops, and pimp cups. How nostalgic.
We're talking about some of the biggest names in the game. Usher, Neo, Jimmy Iovine. These aren't just nobodies. They're the ones who can make or break careers. But when Diddy allegedly decked Cassie, they didn't even dare to squeak. Cassie was a whole mess with tears and the whole package, but everyone just kept right on eating like nothing happened. Diddy's assistant, Clark, quietly whisked Cassie out of the room while the party kept rolling. Like, what kind of influence does a man have to make an entire room of superstars and kingmakers turn a blind eye? It's downright terrifying to even think about. Dawn said witnessing Diddy go berserk on Cassie like that with all these big shots around made her fear for her own safety. Can you picture working in a place where you're constantly watching your back, wondering if you're next on the chopping block? Richard's testimony paints the picture of an industry where the big dogs do whatever they want, and everyone else just has to suck it up. It's like a twisted game of hear no evil, see no evil. But here's the kicker. By keeping mum, these stars might have helped keep the cycle of abuse spinning. Now you might be wondering, why didn't they just speak up? Well, it's not that simple. According to the lawsuit, Diddy had a way of making sure people kept their traps shut. This silence from the top dogs in the industry, it's like giving abusers the green light, telling them they can get away with murder as long as they've got enough pull. And for the victims, it's a living hell. They're stuck thinking, if Usher and Neo won't say jack, who's gonna believe little old me?
All right, you guys, so Kalina released this statement and explained her side of things. She said, I acknowledge the recent lawsuit filed by Dawn Richard in which my name has been mentioned 33 times. And I believe her lawyer wrote this. She said, while I fully respect Dawn's right to recount her experiences,
Usher's name has been popping up more and more lately, especially with Diddy facing a tidal wave of lawsuits that have taken over the headlines, and it's no shocker. Usher spent some of his formative years at Diddy's infamous Flavor Camp. Now, if you're not familiar with that loaded term, that was Diddy's private playground where young artists would come to train, collaborate, and allegedly get exposed to the wild side of the entertainment industry. Usher, who was just a teenager at the time, crashed there under Diddy's wing, and the rumors surrounding what went down during those years have only gotten louder. Usher. I moved to New York City and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. That's the crazy thing now. That was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you to something called Puffy Flavor Camp. There you go. Interviewer. Imagine being so young, surrounded by all kinds of things no one should witness at that age. Usher. Yeah. Interviewer. But you were just 13. What were you? Usher. I went there to see the lifestyle and I saw it and it was what it was, but I didn't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild, it was. Usher himself has been pretty tight-lipped about what really went down during his time at Flavor Camp. But it's hard not to wonder what kind of lasting impact those experiences may have had on him, given everything coming out now. Who knows what other skeletons Usher's got locked away in his closet. The stories didn't stop with Cassie either. Dawn also mentioned seeing Kim Porter, another one of Diddy's exes, leaving his studio with bruises on her face and busted lips. Diddy didn't just mistreat one woman, this was a pattern, and it wasn't only physical abuse. Dawn claims Diddy threw these notorious drug-fueled ragers where he'd invite young girls. And well, you can imagine what went down next. He had his guests doing unspeakable things to these women, and here's the kicker. Diddy even had cops at these parties. Yep, he hired police officers to attend so everyone would know his reach extended into law enforcement. That's why no one ever dared to spill on him. He had everyone eating out of the palm of his hand, from the music industry to the boys in blue. That's some next-level sinister stuff. It's no wonder Dawn was shaking in her boots during her time with Diddy. She saw too much, and her fear was legit. But here's where things get messy. Some folks are questioning Dawn's credibility because at one point, she was still willing to work with Diddy. In fact, she was all for being part of the Making the Band reboot in 2020, and she even handed over one of her tracks, Deliver Me, for his Love album. So why, after everything, would she still want to work with him? Diddy's been a gatekeeper in the music industry for years. For someone like Dawn who needed opportunities, it's not hard to imagine why she'd feel like she had no other choice but to play ball. The pandemic hit everyone hard, and Dawn was probably just trying to keep her head above water, even if it meant working with the very man who had done her dirty. And let's be real, just because Dawn was cordial with him doesn't mean her claims are bogus. People put up with a lot when they feel like their careers or even their lives are hanging in the balance. So while it might ding her case a bit that she stayed quiet for so long and even worked with Diddy afterwards, it doesn't mean she's spinning tales. Now here's where things get even more complicated. Kalena, Dawn's bandmate, actually spoke out against Dawn's claims. Kalena's take was that while she and Dawn shared some experiences, she didn't see things through the same lens.
Sure, everyone knows by now, you were part of an amazing group. So how did you end up working with Diddy?
Well, Diddy's my superhero. Diddy is my He-Man. And so as a little girl, I would always look at Puff and be like, yo, he's like the coolest brown-skinned guy ever. And you know, you hear people like, yeah, dancing in the videos, blah, blah. But I was like, yo, you need that energy as an artist. You need somebody to have your back and be getting it. And
she wrote, while I fully respect Dawn's right to recount her experiences, I want to emphasize that her account reflects her personal perspective and should not be interpreted as a universal truth applicable to everyone involved. It's important to understand that while I was present in some of the same professional settings mentioned, many of the allegations and incidents described in this suit are not representative of my experiences, and some do not align with my own truth. Basically, Kalena pulled the whole "I'm staying out of this mess" card, which, to be honest, is understandable. Kalena's hubby, Tony Vick, is buddies with Diddy, so it's definitely a sticky situation for her to publicly back Dawn's lawsuit. But it's still a letdown, especially considering Dawn once tried to help Kalena escape her own allegedly toxic relationship. So where does this all leave us? Dawn's lawsuit is still unfolding, and who knows what's going to happen next. But one thing's for sure, this is going to shake things up. Diddy's empire might look untouchable, but Dawn's courage to speak up has both been the result of a chain reaction and will likely set off another chain reaction of its own. More people will come forward than already have, more lawsuits will likely be filed, and the music industry is looking like it will be forced to confront its darkest secrets.